I don't know what category this fits into. Paranoia, true crime, near-miss horror. But it's been a year, and I still check the backseat of my car 3 times before driving anywhere. So maybe it's worth putting out there. For closure or warning, I'm not sure. I'll keep it straight. I was working late one night. Not unusual. I'm a barista at this 24-hour cafe in a mid-sized college town. Chill job, quiet place, regulars who mind their business. This was a Thursday, so the weird crowd hadn't hit yet. I got off around 2:15 a.m. and headed out to my car like usual. Here's the thing. The parking lot is around the back of the building. No cameras, just a couple of half-life streetlights and dumpsters that always smell like spoiled milk. I've made that walk 100 times. That night, though, it felt off. I heard footsteps. Not loud, just not mine. I stopped walking. So did they. I looked around, nothing. I chalked it up to nerves. My shift lead had been telling me about a guy who got mugged 2 blocks over earlier that week. Made me twitchy, I guess. I got in the car, locked the doors, and backed out. As I pulled onto the street, I caught movement in my rear view. Someone cutting across the lot. Could have been anything. Could have been nothing. The next day, I went about my routine. Slept till noon, hit the grocery store, grabbed gas, normal stuff. But then, around 9 p.m., I went to grab dinner and saw something that made my stomach drop. There was a folded napkin wedged under my windshield wiper. It was from my cafe, same brand we use, folded twice and tucked real neat. I opened it, thinking it was maybe a receipt or some lost and found thing. It just said, "You looked right at me." No name. No context. Just that. I stood in the parking lot of a Wingstop, staring at that napkin like it was going to catch fire in my hands. My immediate thought was one of my coworkers messing with me, but I hadn't told anyone about the footsteps. And even if I had, this was too weird, too calculated. I went home, sat on the couch with every light on, locked all my windows, double-checked the front and back doors. I didn't sleep much that night. For the next few days, small things kept happening. I'd hear what sounded like knocking, but faint, like someone tapping on the opposite side of the wall. My porch light bulb blew out even though it was new. Once, I found my trash bin pulled to the edge of the curb even though I hadn't taken it out yet. Like someone was trying to be helpful. I stopped walking to my car without looking over my shoulder. Then, about a week after the napkin, I came home late again. As I was unlocking my door, I noticed my welcome mat was flipped upside down. I bent down to fix it and felt something hard underneath. A single key, not mine, not to my place. Just a key. No tag, no explanation. That night, I left and stayed at a friend's house. I didn't go back for 2 days. Eventually, I did what everyone tells you to do. I called the non-emergency police line. Filed a report. They nodded along, asked if I had a recent ex or angry customer. I didn't. They said it might be a prank. That they'd send a car to do a few drive-bys. That was it. But here's the part I still can't wrap my head around. It stopped. All of it. No more notes. No more sounds. No more flipped mats or mystery keys. Whoever it was, they backed off completely. That should make me feel better. But it doesn't, because now I walk around with the sense that someone tried, like tested, how far they could get. Like they did the math, decided something, and moved on. Like I passed or failed some invisible test I'll never understand. I keep a bat next to my bed now, changed all my locks, installed cameras that haven't picked up a single strange thing. But I still can't shake the feeling that somewhere out there, somebody knows exactly where I live, and chose not to come back. That's the part that keeps me up, not knowing why, just knowing they could.
3 months have passed, and I still catch myself checking the rearview mirror every 30 seconds. Still mapping the exits of every room I enter. Still sleeping with my bedroom door locked and a chair wedged under the knob. It started on a Tuesday night in February. Nothing special about the day work was normal. I grabbed dinner with a coworker, then headed home around 9:30. My apartment is in one of those gentrifying neighborhoods where rent is still reasonable, mostly because half the streetlights don't work and the nearest grocery store is a 20-minute walk. That night was particularly cold, the kind of winter cold that makes your ears ache and your lungs burn. I was about 6 blocks from my apartment when I first noticed the footsteps. In empty neighborhoods at night, you become hyper-aware of sounds. The ambient city noise fades into white noise, and anything close stands out. These footsteps were steady, unhurried, maybe 30 feet behind me. I didn't think much of it initially. Other people live here, obviously, but after 2 blocks of identical turns, that prickling awareness crept up my spine. I did the classic move stop to check my phone, pretending to read something important while actually watching the reflection in my screen. A figure stopped too. Tall, wearing dark clothes and what looked like a beanie. Just standing there, maybe 40 feet back, half hidden in the shadow between streetlights. Still, I wasn't panicking. Coincidences happen. Maybe they were also checking their phone. Maybe they lived in the same direction. I put my phone away and continued walking, a little faster now. The footsteps resumed, matching my new pace. At the next corner, instead of turning left toward my apartment, I spontaneously crossed the street and went right. No reason anyone would make that same random deviation. The footsteps crossed over too. My heart rate doubled. I'm not a small person, I'm 6'2" and work out regularly, but something about those steady, patient footsteps made me feel like prey. I started mentally cataloging what I had on me. Keys between fingers, cliché but better than nothing. Phone ready to dial. The small pocket knife I carry that suddenly seemed laughably inadequate. 4 blocks later, I was practically power walking, and the footsteps kept pace, never getting closer but never falling behind. Always in that gap between streetlights where I couldn't get a clear look. Every time I'd glance back, the figure would be there, just a silhouette against the gloom. I decided to head toward a 24-hour diner about 6 blocks away. Other people, lights, safety. That's when the footsteps sped up. Not running, but a purposeful stride that closed the distance with each step. The sound echoing off buildings, making it impossible to tell exactly how close they were. I broke into a jog, then an all-out run. The diner's bright sign appeared in the distance, and I sprinted those final blocks, certain I'd feel a hand grab my shoulder at any moment. I burst through the diner's door, the bell jingling wildly, and several bleary-eyed late-night patrons looked up. I spun around, scanning the street through the windows. Nothing. No one there. The waitress asked if I was okay. I mumbled something about thinking I was late meeting friends, then ordered coffee with shaking hands and took a booth with my back to the wall. I sat there for over an hour, watching the street. Called an Uber eventually, even though my apartment was just 10 blocks away. The next morning, I felt ridiculous. Classic urban paranoia, right? I've lived in cities my whole life. You get spooked sometimes. It happens. Then I noticed the footprints in the fresh snow outside my building's back entrance, leading right up to my window, then circling the building. They weren't there when I got home. It had snowed between 3 and 6 a.m. according to my weather app. Someone had been there while I slept. After that, I started noticing things. Small things. A cup moved slightly on my counter. My shower curtain closed when I always leave it open. The distinct feeling that items in my dresser had been shifted. Twice, I woke up at night to the sound of floorboards creaking in my living room, but when I worked up the courage to check, no one was there. Then last week I got home from work and found my laptop open. I always close it when I leave. Always. Open to my photos folder, specifically pictures from my brother's wedding last year. I called the police. They took a report, looked around, found no signs of forced entry, suggested I change my locks, asked if I had any unstable exes or had received threats. When I said no, I saw that look in their eyes, the one that says, "This person is imagining things. Maybe I am." That's the worst part. If someone broke in and stole my TV, at least I'd have confirmation. Instead, it's these tiny disturbances, the kind that make you question your own sanity. I installed a security system the next day. Cameras, motion sensors, the works. The first night at 2:17 a.m., the living room motion detector went off. The camera showed nothing but an empty room. The security company said these false alarms happen sometimes. Dust particles, temperature changes. 3 nights ago, I woke up to a notification on my phone. Motion detected, bedroom camera. In the grainy night vision feed, I could see myself sleeping. Nothing else. Then my bedroom door, which I'd locked, slowly began to open. I grabbed my phone to call 911, and in that moment of looking down, the feed went dead. When I looked up in the darkness of my actual bedroom, the door was closed. Locked just as I'd left it. The security company found nothing wrong with their equipment. No evidence of tampering. They suggested I was still half asleep and had dreamed it. Yesterday, I found a Polaroid photo on my kitchen table. It showed me sleeping, taken from the foot of my bed. On the back, written in handwriting I didn't recognize, "You look peaceful." I'm writing this from a hotel room where I've been for the past 2 days. I've filed another police report. They're looking into it. I'm staying with a friend tomorrow, then my brother the day after. I'm afraid to go home. The worst part is the uncertainty. Is it someone with a key? A neighbor? A complete stranger? What do they want? Why not just rob me or hurt me and be done with it? Sometimes I think I catch glimpses of that same tall figure on my way to work. Between cars in the parking garage, reflected in windows across the street, always in my peripheral vision, gone when I turn to look. The police officer handling my case says without clear evidence of a break-in or an actual confrontation, there's little they can do. Make sure you're locking your doors. Maybe get a dog. I've started looking at apartments in other cities, because here's what keeps me up at night. Someone has been in my space, touched my things, watched me sleep, and I have no idea what they're waiting for.
Follow Vindistrict Talks for weekly stories.